yourself, we know you've had a bit of a layoff with injury with your Achilles. What's the latest with that?
Yes, healing up very, very well. I'm back boxing, jogging, doing stair runs, so it's feeling rock solid. It feels really good. There's no pain, and I'm really happy with my progress, my rehabilitation. I've got a good, solid medical team. Nutritionally, I'm making sure I'm getting the right nutrients in me to assist in my recovery. I've got a good nutritionist, Aidan Goggins, who's making sure that the foods that I eat are maximising my recovery. And I'm in good shape. I'm probably better shape than you can unveil most heavyweights in the world. 9 out of 10 heavyweights in the world look a bit podgy. I'm making sure that there's no junk on me. I'm just in good condition sort of year round.
Obviously, every time your name gets mentioned now, is Tony Bellew's rematch is the fight that people are looking at. First of all, has there been contacts with Matchroom in regards to that? And secondly, do you have to concede defeat that you'll have to probably go off his terms now?
One thing I don't do is sort of talk about negotiations or other fights. Is the reason why the first fight with Tony Bellew did happen was because it was all done behind closed doors, and we agreed to terms, and we then announced the fight, and it was like a shock. No one knew about it, and if the fight is going to happen, it will happen the same way. I'm not going to be, I'm talking to different fighters about my comeback fight in December, and Tony Bellew is one of those people. But I'm not going to talk about negotiations he won't benefit anything. It probably won't help the fight happen. So I'd rather just, if the fight's going to happen, it will. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'll survive. If it does happen, great. If it doesn't, great. My career's going to go on. I want to be the heavyweight champion of the world, and I will be. And whether Tony Bellew's part of that in terms of getting back to the top remains to be seen. But it's a fight that, as you said, the fans want to see, and if it's meant to happen, it will.
Are you guys okay now? Because obviously, when the fight,
I haven't talked to him since the fight. Since he was in the ring. After that, I went straight to hospital to get my foot sorted. So I literally I gave him credit for the fight. After the fight, we shook hands, and he was the better man on the night. On March 4th, he won the fight fair and square. He got his hand raised at the end of the fight, and he won the fight. Look on BoxRec, he won that fight, and that's that. So there's nothing I could have said or done that would have changed that, other than finding some miracle knockout. That didn't happen. So moving forward, is he my best friend? No. Are we friends? No. We're rivals. We're rivals, and if a rematch is to happen, I'm sure. I don't think we'll be. I think everybody knows what his annoying personality is like. It doesn't really work well with mine, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of no love lost, put it that way.
I want to ask you, when you made the comeback, your name was always touted with Anthony Joshua. It was always going to be the case in the future, David Haye, Anthony Joshua. That's not obviously worked out at this present time. But is that the fight that you want for the British fans to see as well?
Yeah, it's the biggest fights. Yeah, I've always been. That's why I'm back in boxing. I'm back in boxing to regain a heavyweight championship of the world in the biggest possible fights. And as you said, talking before the Bellew fight, it was it was supposed to have been an easy night's work. I going into that fight, I didn't think there was anything Tony Bellew could do. I just thought he can't punch hard enough to knock me out or outpoint me. He can't. He just physically can't. He's just incapable of doing that. He just doesn't have the skill set or punch power. So no matter what state I was, I thought in a 12-round fight I'll beat him. But if things happen, it didn't happen. So obviously that's affected my chances of obviously that big fight with Anthony Joshua. But Anthony Joshua's got his own business to take care of. He's got Pulev, is mandatory to take care of, and he's got Vladimir Klitschko. So I'd say he's going to probably fight Vladimir Klitschko this year, and then he'll probably fight Pulev, his mandatory for things for WBO, I think it is. No, WBA. Which was it? IBF, no, IBF. He's the IBF mandatory. IBF mandatory, Pulev. So he'll probably fight him early next year. So he's not available till probably middle of next year. So I'll have to have 1 or 2 fights before I can even think about getting in with him. But if I am to get it back in the ring with him, I believe it will be probably one of the biggest fights ever staged.